Hey YouTube, Cold Water from Phantom Trading here, and welcome to today's video on FXREPLAY. In this video, we're going to be doing our honest review on this backtesting tool, which has just come out. It's a new player in the market of backtesting tools. And what I really like about this tool is it's combined the best of both worlds between, TradingView, which is obviously the market's leader in, charting software, and SoftwareFX, which I personally like using a lot because it's a realistic way of simulating, a live market environment where you can actually enter and exit as well as manage positions in the market. So FXREPLAY has combined the two. They've filled that gap in the market that, I've honestly been waiting for a tool like this for a long time. And they've done it pretty well, right? So again, I'm going to do a very honest review of this. FXREPLAY is still a little bit new. It is a little bit rough around the edges, but that's not to say it's a bad tool. I actually think it's great, but we're going to go into the details and I'm going to show you what I love about the tool. Now, with that being said, let's get into our review of FXREPLAY. And of course, if you guys want to check it out, you can visit fxreplay.com to check out the different features as well as the pricing if you want to purchase a license. So one other thing I wanted to mention before we get started here is that, again, this tool is, like I said, being worked on by the owners. There's two guys, and they obviously are going to continue to improve the tool. I've even, added my own suggestions in there because there are a couple of things that, I really want in this tool. So in the future, we'll probably do an updated version of this review video. It's just a matter of, waiting for them to develop some of the functionality and stuff. So that being said, let's start here. We'll just do a 300K balance, pretend we have three, FTMO or E8 accounts or whatever it is. And let's do euro dollar here, since that's the most commonly traded, most liquid pair that we have. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this back to September, and let's just do September 1st to, November. So this is a little bit further back. I traded EU in September, but not all that much. So I'm not super familiar with the price action. And I'm just going to set this to my little strategy here. So I guess I better explain this too. Obviously, you create some new sessions, or you can create a new session once you, purchase a license for FXREPLAY. It's a monthly fee. I don't know if they're going to change that in the future. I'm assuming not. But essentially, you enter your account balance, pick your pair. This is a lot like SoftwareFX, where you're setting up a session. You hit save, and we can see we have it here. We did some GU privately within the Phantom Trading community last Friday, so I didn't want to do GU, but we did the same thing. We did $300,000 account balance starting out, and all you have to do is hit play, and it'll pull up your chart. Now, the one thing that you're going to have to do, unless you don't really care, is you'll have to change the colors of your actual chart. It's not like it syncs to TradingView. They have no affiliation with TradingView. They're just using their API in order to use or take advantage of their their charting functionality, which is, again, the biggest selling point to me here. I take off volume because, of course, volume is not going to be accurate in the FX market. By the way, I've talked to Rodrigo, which again is one of the owners, and I was kind of curious about what the data source was for this data, and it's Dukas copy, which is exactly the same as SoftwareFX, and what we would consider pretty high quality data. It's reliable, right, and it's accurate. So in case you were wondering, yeah, the data that is used in this tool is really good. So once you've set up your chart colors and stuff, the other thing you're probably going to want to do, much like you probably would have done if you use TradingView, which I'm assuming most of you do who are watching these videos, since everybody uses TradingView, is to favorite your favorite tools, right? So I just have my line tool, my fib tool, my rectangle, my brush, which I don't really use all that much, and then of course my long and short template tools. So I'm going to explain how to enter and exit the market once we get into it, but let's backtest a little bit. I'm going to pull up the weekly to start, and we're just going to do a very rough markup here. Now, in terms of things that are lacking a little bit, the actual template functionality here for, sorry, I don't know why this isn't popping up. Okay, that's weird. Anyways, in terms of templates for things like, you know, your box tools and stuff, that doesn't actually exist yet. All you can do is apply defaults, which I don't want to do. I'm going to keep it like this. So that's a little annoying. You don't have a way to templatize, you know, different time frame zones if you want to. So, I mean, not a big deal, but I know it's something that they're working on as well. It's just going to take time for them to develop it, right? Anyways, I'm going to mark out my weekly zones here, and you can kind of just see, okay, we have a supply chain, prices reacted, we're bearish, okay? So pretty simple on the weekly. We'll go down to the daily now, and let's just quickly mark out our rough structure here. So obviously broke swing structure here, and let's mark out our zones as well. Let me just change this back to blue. Yeah, so anyways, I like this around like 12% or whatever, so it's not too in your face. Anyways, we have a supply zone, didn't quite get tapped, and then we have, you know, some liquidity here, so maybe price will come up higher, right? So again, this is not meant to be much of a technical analysis video. I just really want to showcase, you know, FXREPLAY, and again, give you my honest thoughts on it. I'm gonna be critical about it at certain points, you know, like with the templates and stuff, but really I do like this tool, and I do foresee myself using it in the future. So that kind of brings me to my next point. The other thing that is still missing here is news events. So that's kind of an important thing. I don't trade news. I actually actively avoid it, especially because I trade funded accounts. I mean, you don't want to lose your account over a restricted news event, right? So that's one thing that, you know, still needs to be added. And I know that is a huge priority, again, for Rodrigo and his partner. And, you know, they're obviously going to implement that pretty soon. So kind of waiting for that. But anyways, again, let's look at this. So we kind of have our daily zone here, which price is beginning to tap into, which looks like a rough chain that we can look at on the 4-hour as well. We obviously took this low out and closed below it. So I would say this is my swing high, swing low on the daily. And of course, we swept liquidity here and then continued to push down. We also went as far as sweeping this, which reacted off of this demand zone to the left. And what I'm going to do also for this call, or not for this call, but rather this video, is we're just going to stay on the 15-minute to keep it simple. I don't want to spend too much time, you know, going over, you know, 1-minute price action or getting too deep into the technicals. Again, you guys can join Phantom Trading if you want to learn how to trade the way that we trade. And whoops. Anyways, that's our daily. Let's move down to the 4-hour and take a look at that. So again, I would say that obviously our 4-hour is bearish as well. We can see that, again, price is kind of reacting off of this level. I don't think this tapped into anything to the left, but let's quickly check. We only have data up to 2016, which honestly is good enough for me. Again, this is like leaps and bounds ahead of software FX, because good luck trying to look at price action any further back than, you know, basically one chart screen on MT4. It's unrealistic, right? So we essentially have that 4-hour bearish structure, and it looks like, again, demand is kind of taking control here. We've shifted order flow, broken internal structure to the upside, which can also be viewed as a liquidity sweep. So I don't know, it's kind of a toss-up right now, but either way, we'll keep this marked up. We know that we're in that demand zone. We could take counter trend longs. We could, of course, you know, expect that price will continue to break these lows. There's a huge stack of liquidity sitting below here, right, that we can use to target, again, in the form of sell stop orders, and, you know, people who have essentially stop losses that are sitting here who are in buy positions, right? So we know there's a stack of liquidity. If price crosses through it, they have to sell to get out of their buy positions. That's going to add fuel to the fire, and it'll likely cause price to continue pushing lower, right? So little tidbit for you guys while you're here. And okay, let's look at the 15-minute now. We can refine this a little bit. So these are our 4-hour zones. Again, I'm just going to mark some of these zones internally here. I'm going to mark out this range just because it's so out of the way. And we can see that we're kind of tapping into this, right? Now, again, the other thing that FXREPLAY is still missing, which again is another big priority for them. They've talked about it in their support Discord, and that's sessions, right? So right now, the best that you can do is you change it to your time zone. I'm in Toronto, so I'm Eastern Standard Time, and we can see here that this is New York open, and that essentially, there are no like session indicators yet, but again, they're going to add that in so that you're aware of when Asia session is, when London session is, when New York session is. I have a few tools that I like to use on my actual TradingView chart, which are custom user indicators. So it's just a matter of them implementing it. It's not the most difficult thing. I would expect that they're going to have that, within the next few months, right? Or sooner. I have no idea how fast or slow these guys are going to develop it, but I think it's like the most highly requested feature that people were asking for, because the majority of us look to trade a particular session. It's not like we're sitting here and just trying to trade any random session of the day, right? We're looking for that session volatility a lot of the time. So anyways, this is September 1st. I guess let's see what happens here. Let price kind of play out a little bit. It looks like we're now sweeping this 4-hour low. So I would expect that price is either going to continue to push lower, or maybe it's going to reverse, but we're going to wait a little bit. Maybe we'll go on the 5-minute to see. The other thing that I like doing personally here is setting this to 5-minute. And now I'm going to talk about some of the benefits of using FXREPLAY that I really like over TradingView. And that's the ability to actually see how a candle plays out, essentially from whatever time frame you select here, right? Obviously, if we do the 15-minute, you'll see that it prints the entire 15-minute candle. You can hit shift and space in order to, move to the next bar. But basically, I like setting it to 5-minute. If I'm trading the 15-minute, you of course can set it to the 1-minute as well, and you can see every 1-minute, movement for that entire 15-minute candle. So you can essentially see how it's playing out, right? Whereas in TradingView, again, it just prints the entire candle, and if you flip to a higher time frame, it'll print the entire 4-hour candle, which again means that sometimes you're gonna essentially inadvertently cheat, right, and see what price is going to do, which is really annoying, right? Especially if you want to try to keep it, realistic, right? Because you can't do that in the real market. Otherwise, we'd all be millionaires, right? Makes sense. So I'm going to put this back to the 5-minute, and again, that just means there's 3 5-minute candles for every 15-minute candle, and this is going to take 3 taps of my spacebar, shift and spacebar, in order to play it out, right? So I think price looks like it's going to, well, we're kind of late in the day now, so looks like price is going to probably push up, but we'll see here. What I might do as well is potentially trade Asia, which I like sometimes doing. I don't do it so much on EU and GU, but AU I really like doing because there's typically a lot of volatility. But this would be around 8 p.m. my time. I say, maybe if price comes back down here to one of these levels, we can look at taking a long. I can show you guys how to actually execute an order. Let's see. I'll draw out the Asia range as well here. So we'll just do 18 to 00 Eastern Standard Time. Let's see. I'm expecting price will probably expand out of that anyways. But let's see. I'd like to actually place an order somewhere here. So I'm expecting that it is going to sweep the liquidity that is being built in Asia session. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place an order somewhere around here. We'll give it some room, of course. 11.8 pips, that's not too bad. And in order to enter a position, all you have to do is place your order template and then click on this place order button. It's actually really simple. I honestly didn't even read any of like the documentation. I think I just watched like the YouTube video that they have, just showcasing the tool. But this is really user friendly. I mean, if you know how to use TradingView, you're gonna know how to use this tool because it's the exact same thing. The only difference is this, right? So I'm gonna risk 1% of my account here, or my accounts, right? Imagine we have 3 100K accounts. Maybe we're using a trade copier in between them. Again, I like to keep it realistic, right? And then you can delete this, but I'm gonna leave it on, right? You don't have to keep this on because our order, as you can see here, is set. We have our buy limit. So let's play through price, and You know what? I will trade London for this as well because I know a lot of you trade London. So we'll see if there are any other positions. It looks like price is just kind of taking off without us. So, you know, price swept our 4 hour zone. We're continuing to push up. Sorry. So I know this is obviously pretty counter trend to the daily and 4 hour, but you know, we've shifted order flow. Actually, no, we haven't really shifted order flow. We've just started to break, you know, supply levels on the 15-minute. But let's see. So we're in and around Frankfurt now. That's 1 a.m. Eastern. So looks like price is going to potentially, I mean, I'll leave this order on, but let's see kind of what happens next here. Okay, we're starting to, I'm gonna just delete this. So we're starting to respect this level, produce the reaction, right? Kind of broke above. I'll just zoom in a little bit so it's a little easier for you guys to see that. But it looks like price is just gonna kind of take off from here. So let's see. Kind of have a chain forming here. Excuse me. So, okay, there's London. Looks like we're really taking off here. Okay, it's starting to pull back. And I don't know. This looks okay. I say let's maybe enter this. We could get swept out, of course. There's a lot of liquidity sitting below this, right? You can be aware of that. It might be worth the risk of taking it. So I'll show you guys how to take a market order. It's pretty similar. Just put price right in and around the current price level. And again, we're going to cover the low a little bit. Let's give it 7 pips just to be safe. And I'm going to hit place order. We'll do 1%. And I'm just going to change the type of order to market. We'll hit save. And again, I could just drag this up, you know. The only thing that I think we're missing here is, you know, an auto break even level, but it's really easy to just drag your stop loss, right? So, okay, there we go. We would be break even on this. And I think we're running, you can measure it, right? We're running about 3.6R. So let's see. Now we're getting into New York session. Okay, price is pushing up. It's pretty nice. Just move this up a little bit more. Okay, we're pulling back. I think we'll probably continue to push up. Okay, we're coming into New York session now. Okay, there's a bunch of volatility. Again, I don't know if this was news. It looks like it might have been. But here's the thing. There is one condition or one situation where I will leave a position on, knowing that, of course, you're potentially risking your prop firm accounts. If you're trading a prop firm account like FTMO that has restrictions on high impact news events, you know, you risk, you know, obviously if you get an order tagged, whether it's a stop loss or a limit order, I think within, you know, 5 minutes, I actually use this rule just to be, you know, extra safe, is I'll stay out for at least 15 minutes or more in order to, number one, avoid getting slipped, and number two, you know, I don't want to lose the account over, you know, having an order tagged when it's, you know, a restricted news event that's happening, right? But there is one situation, and it would be like this, right? If we were in a position and I think that we're far enough away from it that we can kind of like leave that order open while news is going to hit, you can potentially do it. Of course, there's a lot of risk associated with it. I'm not suggesting that you guys do this, but there are certain circumstances where, you know, you can maybe risk doing it if you think that you can catch the volatility of the news event. But of course, could price have, you know, pushed down with the same amount of volatility and blown, you know, our 3 funded accounts? Absolutely, right? So that's the risk you're taking. Just be aware of it, right? May or may not be worth it, right? Okay, so we are getting deep into New York session now. Let's see. Don't want to be too greedy with this. Obviously, we have a lot of liquidity that's sitting below this, so we may or may not want to, you know, TP this out. Okay, we're continuing to push up. Let's see what's like 11. Okay. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna take some heavy partials here. It looks like we've essentially tapped this level. Of course, price could continue to push up, but what I'm gonna do here, we're at 7.5R net right now, so that's not bad, right? We risk 1%. So what we can do in order to take partials now is simply go here, and you can either select the percentage amount that you want to close of your order, right? You could close the entire thing. You can also close the entire thing by just closing the position here, clicking this X button. But if I want to take partials, say I want to take 75% off, then you would hit this. And, this is actual currency units. It's not lots. So, we know our the total size of our position is about 4 million currency units, US dollars, right? So if we want to say close 80%, you just have to do 80% of this 4.2 million, right? So I'm not going to do the math, but I want to close a little bit more than 75%. And one thing I like doing as well, which I suggest you guys do if you are going to use this tool, is I would do percent left of amount on position. That way, it's a lot more like managing it the way that Software FX does, where you're closing the percent left versus the original position. Because if you do original position and you say take 75% off, and then you want to take another 75% off of the remaining amount, it's going to end up just closing the entire thing, right? So I actually prefer doing it this way. And even with the magic keys, I'm actually certain that it works this way too, right? Where you take off 75% off, and then you want to take off another 75% of the remaining position. That's essentially the way it's been programmed, so I'm used to that. Anyways, I'm going to take off, let's just take off 4 million on this one. So that's 6 zeros, and we'll hit save. And then on the next bar, you'll see that we've now realized some $21,000 in profit. That's pretty good. And let's see what happens. Let's see if we hit our TP up here. Again, I'm not going to be too greedy about it. We are trading counter trend. Who's to say that this isn't going to drop, right? And there we go. We're starting to drop. So we're break even on this. We have, some left over on it. And there we go. We're out of that now. I'm also going to close this position here because, of course, we were counter trend. I'm expecting this low is actually pretty weak. Let's see. We're kind of late in New York session now. It looks like we reversed at around noon. So that's fine. I think that was actually a really good trade that we took. Let's continue to play price on. I probably wouldn't trade this late in the day, especially if we're coming into spread hours, but let's, push on here. So there we go. We've continued to break this low. And we could be sweeping it. We could be due for a pullback, but let's kind of see what happens next. Again, I'll trade London for this as well. That was a New York trade. Of course, if you guys know, some of my history, I used to trade London, but the reason I stopped is because it's just too much. It's taking too much of a toll on my body to try and wake up at, 3 a.m. Or earlier actually, because you had to prep for it. But I was consistent trading London. It's just, it really affected my sleep. I mean, you're fighting against your natural circadian rhythm. So if you live in the Americas, I mean, honestly, just trade New York. Like, it works. I trade New York like now, and I'm consistent with it. You don't need to do it. Me and a few of the other team members in Phantom, we did it for a while, but it really does take a toll on your body. Some people can maybe handle it, but I don't think it was a very healthy thing to do. So anyways, that being said, if you live in Europe or the UK or Asia, you have the opportunity to trade both sessions, which is, really nice. It's a bit of a double-edged sword, of course, because, sometimes you don't necessarily want to trade 2 sessions. It could lead to overtrading, but, Anyways, here's London session. Sorry, let me mark out Asia session here. Our rough Asia range, so that would be 18, roughly 18. Be this high here, 200, which would be right around here. So it looks like we swept the low. We're starting to push up. Then we're also sweeping the highs. So potentially maybe we want to look for shorts here. Let's see if we can maybe break this low here. I'm just going to quickly look at the 5-minute. Yeah, it looks like 5-minute order flow is still bullish here too. Remember, we want to keep an eye on the 4-hour as well. We're pretty rangy, right? But we can see that we're bearish overall, right? We're continuing to break lows. I would say that we made new swing structure as we broke below and closed below this with enough conviction. This would be our previous swing high. And you could go as far as marking it out with, the marker tool. So here's my 4-hour, right? Probably be something like this, right? I'll just kind of do it backward. So that would be my structure, my swing structure. Anyways, that being said, let's just delete that, get it out of the way, because it's going to be a little bit in the way. And let's see, maybe we can just take continuation shorts here. Order flow is still pretty bullish, so potentially we want to look for I don't know, some sort of longs maybe. Yeah, okay, price is continuing to push up. Now we're getting into New York session. I mean, we could have taken a long here, but I didn't want to trade against this sweep of liquidity here. I was honestly expecting price to continue to push lower. There you go, saved myself because I waited, for order flow to shift. I didn't end up taking a short here, which obviously would have resulted in a break even or a loss anyways. So let's see. The way I'm looking at this now is I'd probably want to place something below here. Something I like doing a lot on the 15 minute is just waiting for zones that are kind of out of the way rather than, attacking price and chasing it like we kind of did here. We got lucky on this one. It doesn't mean it wasn't worth taking. It obviously worked out, and I would say that this fit my plan, so I had no problem taking that. But obviously price was pretty volatile here. It started to show volatility. We're showing some volatility here, but we are very wicky in our price action, showing indecision in price, in the direction of price, right? So let's see if we can sweep some sort of liquidity that's sitting here. It looks like we're going to continue to push up. Okay, we're getting into New York session now. So I'm going to see here. We kind of have, let me actually go in the 5 minute and see if we can clean this up a little bit, because 15 is a little bit hard to read. Not a lot of volatility. So sometimes when there isn't a lot of volatility, I will also, be a little bit more aggressive with price, knowing that, potentially we can catch something, right? So let's see, we got a chain kind of forming here. Of course, again, with chains, I mean, this is not that far off from a retail trader trying to trade trend lines. So we know liquidity, again, is stacked underneath this. So you have to be careful, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set an order below this in anticipation that it's probably going to sweep it. We've kind of broken up here. We've broken up here. So I can justify that. But let me just measure this a little bit better. I'll go here. So I'm going to enter something around there. So again, I'm going to put my order template on. We'll put it right below this low. And I'm going to give it some room here. We'll give it 7.5 pips. Yeah, I'm going to use big stop losses. You don't need a 2 pip stop loss. You really don't. I mean, I trade with big stops. I don't care. At the end of the day, if you're taking profit and you have a profitable system, it's going to work, right? So that's why it just always irks me when people say, oh, they're 2 pip stop loss trader. It's like, listen, number one, volatility varies. Tells me that maybe you're not a real trader if you're doing that, because I mean, if you were trading in say 2016, the volatility is different from what it was in 2020, for example, right? And even now I would say we have more volatility than normal. So you kind of need a bigger stop loss, especially for pairs like GU, right? Anyways, small rant, but I just wanted to add that in there. You don't need 2 pip stop losses. Don't be fooled. Okay, let's see. Is price going to tap us in? Looks like we're potentially, it might actually. Ooh, even here. This might actually hold too. Let's see. Now we're getting a little bit late in the day, so we'll see. Okay, price is ranging a lot, so I don't love that. I'm gonna keep my limit order here. Let's see if it taps us in or not. Go back to the 15 minute for a second here. So I'm just gonna play through price some more. Getting into Asia session. Spread hours is here. Okay, I'm gonna pull this order because it doesn't seem like price is gonna tap into it, and I'm not gonna leave a limit order sitting overnight for London. What we can do is actively trade it as if we were trading London session, but wow, that's really taking off. It looks like we had market direction correct at least, but it didn't tap us in. This happens to me a lot too, by the way, right? If we're being realistic about it in the live market, I'll place limit orders. I don't get tapped sometimes. It is what it is, right? And of course I take losses as well, right? That's just the reality of trading. You're going to take losses. You can't be perfect with it. So let's see, we got another 15 minute sort of level that's formed here. Looks like we filled this gap from, I'm guessing this was Sunday. I'm not actually entirely sure, but let's continue playing through this. Here is Asia session, and let's see, pretty rangy. Here's Frankfurt. We're coming into London. Here's London open. So I'm just going to quickly mark out the Asia session again, which would be 18. It's one of those big Asia sessions, Asia ranges to here. So again, liquidity stacked here, liquidity stacked all below here. And then it looks like we took out our high here, right? So what I'm thinking here is, let's just go back on the 4 hour for a second. We have essentially these lows getting taken out. Looks like we're coming into a 4 hour zone in and around here. Not quite tapped into it. But we probably want to continue to trade with the trend here. Probably just continue shorting, if I'm being completely honest. So let's see. Let's see if we come up to this zone up here. Doesn't mean price will, right? See this happen sometimes where, you know, price will just kind of come up here, not tap into this and then reverse, or we'll blow through it completely, right? But I want to avoid taking longs here because we have so much liquidity stacked up, right? If I were going to take a long, I'm going to do it out of the way, right? Kind of like what I did down here. And I'm okay with not getting tagged. I'd rather not take a loss and then it run without me, because that's very frustrating, right? Of course, you know, ideally you want to build up your psychology so you're not, you don't care about that type of loss. But, you know, ultimately you do want to learn from taking trades like that, which can be easily avoided, right? Actually, in fact, you know, if anything, I do want to take a short because we can target all of this, right? If I'm expecting that this is gonna get swept, like we were talking about before, there's stop losses sitting under here in the form of liquidity that will fuel the move to the downside, especially because 4 hour is so bearish. You know what? We can justify taking shorts, right? But of course, we're gonna want to wait a little bit and see if we, you know, tap into something. Looks like we're starting to produce a reaction here. This is a little bit, well, this is, what is this, an hour into London. We're tapping into what looks like some sort of wick flip zone here. So I'll mark that out. Why is it a flip? Well, we had an exchange of orders from this demand level here, actually where we previously longed, right? So I don't normally like, you know, marking out wick levels like this. Doesn't mean I won't do it in the live market. It's just sometimes I just don't see them, right? So we can see here, it's not even really a 5 minute zone, but we can tell that there was a very clear, let me just move this out of the way, reaction to this level of demand here, and price continue to push down. So we can view this as a supply level now, right? Now, again, what are we going to wait for? I'm going to wait until price shifts on the 5 minute at minimum. It looks like we're starting to do that. Okay, looks like we're really going to start pushing off here. But let's see. Okay, continuing to push lower. So we're getting now into a little, I would say around London lull. Doesn't mean we can't continue to try to trade this. And I'm just going to mark out some of this stuff here too. So demand's reacting here. Got a little sweep. And we kind of have this 5 minute zone, which is not bad, as well as the extreme. It looks like there's a lot of momentum behind this though. So what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to try to attack it just because we swept here. It looks pretty good. Let's really quickly review this on the 15 minute. Okay, not bad. Now the tough part is here is essentially trying to figure out where we want to set our limit sell order, right? What could happen, of course, is price could sweep this high. So we want to be aware of that. But we already kind of swept a reaction here. So what we could do is just take the full on 5 minute candle here. Or if, you know, we're expecting price to pull back deep into the zone, what we can do is either take the 15 minute level, either enter at equilibrium, or we can do the equilibrium of the 5 minute. So I'm going to say, let's do this. I think price will pull back. And again, if there's a chance that it's going to sweep this, I want to cover that high, right? Because, you know, it's not uncommon that a sweep gets swept, right? So you want to be aware of that. I'm going to give this 8.5 pips. I'm going to front run it a little bit just in case we don't get tapped in. But I'm essentially entering it at the open of this 15 minute candle, which would be the equilibrium of this 5 minute bullish candle here as well. So I'm going to place that order. Again, I'll click on my order tool here, my short. I'm going to risk 1% of my account. We'll hit save. Okay, so now that order is placed, and let's just kind of review this and monitor it on this time frame. Now, again, could we get swept out? Absolutely. There is the chance of that. If that happens, maybe we will attack this, but I'm going to wait until order flow shifts. Right now, we have 5 minute order flow, which is bearish. And look, we're starting to take out some of this liquidity to target here, right? So obviously, we've taken this out. We can expect some sort of pullback. I'm hoping that pullback tags us into a short position here. Okay, we're in. Let's see if we survive this. Ooh, kind of close. Okay, looks like we swept this low out. So what we can do is drag our stop loss right here. Should give us enough room. Okay, we're good. And so again, I'm expecting that this low down here is weak. So maybe we'll just target that. Does that mean that, you know, we can't take partials on the way down? I mean, any one of these levels here of demand could obviously hold as well. So we do have to be a little bit careful. We're getting into New York session now. We're risk-free on this. We could potentially look for a hedge long, which I like doing sometimes just to hedge my risk. In the event that obviously price taps in and maybe respects one of these, you know, we're not necessarily, you know, losing out on unrealized profit as price retraces back. We kind of like lock in the profit in a way. It's another way of doing it. If you can get a similarly sized order, right? So I'd say we're sized pretty well because we have a decently tight stop loss here, even for the 15 and 5 minute. Essentially, yeah, let's see. We can also look for scale-ins if we really want to, but I don't know if I want to do that necessarily. I'd be expecting maybe these highs are going to get swept. We got to be careful. Okay, we're continuing to push down. So let's see. I'm going to actually just look to take probably partials if we can take this low out. Maybe we'll take like 50 to 75% of our position off. But what I'm liking now is this zone and potentially the zone above this. So let's see if price comes back to that. We can maybe continue to short it. But essentially, we can also look for some sort of a hedge long. So maybe we'll do that. We're kind of at the extreme here. Of course, this would be like taking a straight up reversal. So you know, this is not something I would recommend doing if you're not already in a short. I would not take it in that case. But what I want to do again is try to hedge my risk here, right? And kind of lock in some of the profit that we have here. So there you go. Okay, price, again, I wouldn't view this as an order flow shift by any means, but what I'm going to do here is either I'm expecting that this level is going to hold, or I can maybe look to enter off of this area down here in anticipation that it's going to sweep this, right? Potentially, this is just trying to fake buyers into getting into the market too early. So what I'm going to do is play it safe, and we'll just move this over. I'm going to take a long here. And again, I'm going to cover it. So you know what? Let's do something like this. Let me just measure this here with the equilibrium tool. And I'm going to enter at 75%. I expect it's going to come deep anyways. And let's give it a stop loss like that. Maybe give it a little bit more room. Again, we don't need to be greedy about it. But again, if price is going to come and tap us in to here, I don't want to miss out on the realized profit that I've now made on this this order here, right? Looks like we're floating pretty well. I mean, if we hit down here, we're going to be at 9R. So that's a good reason to start taking partials. In fact, we could even start taking partials as early as right now, right? Actually, I think I'm going to do that. Let's do that. Let's see. It's around 7R. Yeah, I'm not going to be too greedy about it. Let's take 50% off for now. We'll see what happens. Okay, so, oh shit, we're not in our position yet. That's okay. Excuse my language. That's fine. We're probably gonna get a better order on this. So I didn't place my order on the long yet, but let's take that hedge. Click that, place order, 1%, hit save. Okay. Oh, I don't know, I might take profits down here, but just move that up here. Let's see. Okay, so we got swept out of that. That's fine. And oh, it looks like we hit our TP on the other position too. Okay, I'm good with that. And look, now we're gonna pull back. So either way, it looks like we didn't necessarily, you know, catch that. It swept quite a lot more. If you look on the 5 minute, I don't think there's any way you could have really caught this anyways. But that's fine. We'll take our L on that. I was happy to hedge it. And look, we ended up netting some 6R out of that move, 6.7R, right? Or more, actually, right? We took partials of 50% here, and then it TP'd the rest of us down here at around 9R, so, or 11R. I don't know what it was, but we obviously made a good amount on that. Let's see. We realized about 25K. So that's not bad. Let's continue on here. This is going pretty well so far, I think. So potentially, I want to short this. Now, the thing is, now we're trading against a lot of momentum. So, maybe we want to look for longs. What I like doing sometimes is looking at zones like this, right? That are kind of sitting here in between, and of course the extreme, but we have to keep in mind the overall picture, which on the 4 hour is that this low is still weak. It's just, we have to try to predict, okay, where is price going to essentially start to turn around and go back pro trend, right? Pro order flow on the 4 hour. So let's go back on the 15 minute. I'm actually expecting this is probably going to sweep these highs. So let's kind of wait a little bit. Okay, it looks like it's respecting it for now. Excuse me. Just kind of play through. This is kind of late in the day anyways. This is 1 p.m. my time now. Coming into spread hours. Wow, okay, so it looks like it actually respected that. So that happens sometimes too. If there's low volatility in New York session because it's late in the day, it's gonna, tap into zones like this and respect it. Maybe you can pull 1 or 2 R out of it on the 15 minute. Of course, on the 1 minute, if you scalp this, there is a good opportunity to, maybe make up to 5 R on that, right? If you took something like this. So touch upon the 1 minute a little bit there, but it looks like there wasn't a ton of movement anyways. That's okay. So let's see. I'll let this play through to London session, and then we can tackle London session next. So I'll just move this to 00. We'll mark out our Asia session. Looks like we're coming back into this. We're slightly respecting this low. Oh no, we swept it. I mean, we swept it previously, right? So really our low would be this larger overall width that we have. So I'll quickly mark that out. Let me just delete this to clean this up a little bit. That's another 15-minute zone. You could, of course, mark this entire thing out, but let's mark out our Asia range, which would be from around 18 or 17. It doesn't have to be perfect. I found the timing for Asia range, honestly, really does not matter all that much, right? You can try to be super specific with it, but I just like doing 18 to midnight. 18 being, what would that be? 6 o'clock my time, right? 20 is 8, so -2, right? So, okay, Asia range, we're still stuck within it. We can mark out liquidity that's sitting above and below it. Of course, I'm going to cover this high up here, and we have liquidity within Asia range that is still being respected in Frankfurt. Well, pre-Frankfurt. This would be Frankfurt open at 2 a.m. Eastern, which would essentially be, I think, 8 in Frankfurt, Germany. So we're getting into it now. Let's see what happens next. Okay, so it looks like price is sweeping the high here. So potentially we may want to look if the 5 minute starts to shift here for shorts. Okay, we're continuing to respect it, so I'm going to stay out of that. Okay, it's a good thing we stay out of that. We've taken a really nice L there. Okay. So what I'm actually thinking here is price probably will pull back deeper. Remember, we swept the 4 hour low here. Who's to say that we're not going to come and tap into a 4 hour zone above here? So let's quickly mark that out. And maybe let's look for longs on this one. It's starting to look pretty decent. So essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to, again, start to look at some of these zones here. Of course, we know this is a flip zone. It's flipping off of something to the left here. I'm not going to bother marking it out. You can see that it's respecting something here. It's just going to be messy. So I'm not going to bother marking it. But of course, we could sweep this low and tap into something below here. So we got to be aware of that too. Let's wait until price comes into it and see if we can get a better fill on it. Okay, that's not bad. So what I'm going to do is, again, not the greatest fill, but I'm going to enter market and I'm going to, again, cover the low. Let's give this, I don't know, 12 pips, 12.1 pips, just to be safe. So I'll place my order. Let me actually move my TP a little bit higher. Place my order here. We'll do 1% and we'll do market. Okay. So we're in that. Play through it a little bit. And, now we're getting into London lull, but I'm thinking this is, okay, good. We're kind of sweeping that. Let's see if we stay in this one. I'm getting a reaction. Okay. And we got tapped out, which I think we got tapped out by spreads on that. And that's okay. Not a big deal. Let's see if it would have played out anyways. Okay, looks like it took us out. So what's probably going to happen next is either we're going to continue to blow through this, or we're going to respect one of these zones. Maybe we'll sweep it first and then, pull back up. But usually when I take a loss like this on a zone like so, I'm not going to continue to attack this because, I don't want to, overexpose myself to risk. Sometimes I got to let it cool down a little bit and reapproach the market the next time. So continue to play through here. And okay, now price, there you go. Look, it's swept low and now we're starting to push up quite aggressively. So this is in New York session now. So let's see if there was anything on the 5-minute we could have taken. I don't really see anything, if I'm being honest. Maybe you could have taken something in and around here, but again, we already took an L on that, so I'm just going to stay out of it and stick to my plan. Again, I'm just approaching this the way that I would approach the live market. So again, you're going to take losses like this, not a big deal. Of course, I could have been more patient and waited for this low, right? Asia's low to get swept out and then maybe looked for a long, but that's okay. Not a big deal. Okay, we're coming into this 15-minute refined zone in the 4-hour. Let's see what happens next. Okay, we're gonna sweep through it. I guess that's kind of to be expected. And then of course we have this level up here too. So I like to keep these marked out because we don't know if the price is gonna come and tap into it, right? Now that doesn't mean I'm gonna try to short it, but we will see how price reacts to it. We're obviously extremely bullish. I didn't catch it, unfortunately. We were close though. It's not that we weren't even really wrong about market direction on this one, so I'm not too upset about it. But it would have been nice to be in that. We obviously got swept and it ran in the direction we expected. Oh, I probably wouldn't have held it this much because we're getting a really deep pullback now, right? If we look at the 4-hour again, you can see, look, price is now taking this high out. We've essentially shifted order flow to the upside, right? But who's to say that we won't continue to respect highs here? So that's kind of what I'm expecting next. But with price being as high momentum as it is, I don't really want to try to call a reversal short. If anything, I will continue to attack this and try to take longs, right? Now, the thing is, we're getting into spread hours, Asia session, so let's just play through all of that. We'll go into London session and try to approach this from a fresh perspective. Let's see, 18 should be here. So there's our Asia session. We'll just mark out our rough liquidity pools here. So potentially we might tap into this and go short. Let's wait and see. Or we can continue to take longs, right? So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna actually hedge this because we've swept this previous low. Price is kind of swept to Asia's high. I don't know what's gonna happen yet, but I wanna get involved in something now that we are at London Open. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set an order here and we're gonna try to long it to start. But then of course we will try to take a hedge as well because we really don't know what's gonna happen. Let's see if price comes into this first, okay? I wanna see it actually take this low out. Okay, good. So now what I'm gonna do is, again, I'm just gonna enter market on this. I'm gonna cover the low to give myself some room, and we're gonna see if we can get some sort of break even on this, or maybe this will run, like who knows, right? Again, we're really bullish. We are starting to see price exhaustion, right? Price is starting to round off, as you can see here. So this might not work. I mean, I really don't know. Okay, whoa, we're getting close to taking a loss there. Still in. Okay, good. There you go, it's starting to work out. I like that. So now, let's just play this out a little bit more. So we're tapping into that level here, our supply level above here, our refined supply level. It's part of that 4-hour chain. So maybe we can look to hedge this in a second. And we're starting to shift to the downside. Price is getting a little like crazy here, but let's just look at this on the 5 minute. Okay, so we can see we broke this low. Price came here. Let me just see here. I mean, this looks like decent to me. I mean, it's not very clean. But we kind of have this leftover part of the wick. Let me see if we can try to maybe catch some sort of short here. Wait for price to come and get into it. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna again give this some room. I'll give it a lot of room because I don't like that it's wicking everywhere. Again, I don't know where news is on this yet until they implement that, but let's give this, I don't know, 17.5 pips. And then again, I'll just move my stop loss down there, place our order, and let's see. Okay, we're in. Sorry, I just want to make sure. Okay, our take profit on this one's kind of out of the way. Whoa, okay. So, looks like we got taken out of this. Actually, I think this, I forgot to put this break even. So that would have been a break even. That's fine. TP, again, I didn't move it. I can't rewind on this, which I actually like. I think they said they were going to add some sort of a function to allow rewinding as well. Anyways, we hit TP on this for what, like 4.5 hour. That's an okay trade, I think. But let's see. I'm going to continue to, we're at 10 a.m. here. We had a lot of volatility here, right? I don't know if this was a Sunday gap or news or something. Well, I don't think it was news because 8:30. Usually we have news at 8:30 Eastern. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to try to short this actually because they kind of like missed out on our position. I mean, we took some profit from that anyways. We took a loss that should have been a break even. That's fine. But we're still in this 4-hour zone. We've shifted now to the downside. I would say that 15-minute structure is actually broken in the downside as well when we broke this low. So I say we just keep on trying to short it. And let's see how that works out. So I'll mark out this zone. We didn't quite fill this gap yet. So let's see if price comes back into that. And then we can look to take some sort of short. Okay, around 10, 11. So it looks like, again, we are getting kind of late in the day. So what I'm going to do here is I'm expecting this low is going to go anyways. It's weak. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look to take a short just off of this, knowing that, of course, it could come and tap into this. So we'll see if we can just quickly scalp this. It doesn't mean we necessarily have to, hold it, right? Like here's the thing, if we're far enough away that we can look to hold that position, maybe even in break even. If we can get break even on it, we'll hold it through spread hours, knowing that, the premium or like the spreads will potentially take us out. That's fine. But I'm just going to go ahead and throw an order on here and hope that we get tagged in. Again, there's not a lot of volatility, so I'm expecting that we might be able to get break even on this and hold it maybe through London even. If price is going to drop, it's going to drop. It could even move in Asia, right? So I'll place an order here. We'll go 1%. Let's see if we get tapped in. Okay, almost. Okay, we're in. I think we got tapped in during spread hours. Oh no, okay. No, this is still 1 p.m. I don't know why it gapped, but let's see. Okay, and we take an L. That's fine. Let's see if we're going to respect this level up here. But yeah, I'm not going to attack it now that I've taken an L, right? Because it's kind of annoying. And let's see. I'm going to go through here. It almost looks like it's a holiday or something. It's so, well, no, I guess it wouldn't be because it's pretty volatile here. This is a very tight range. Kind of interesting. But let's see if maybe like during Asia session, if order flow shifts to the downside, I would look to short this as well. Now, of course, let's look at this the other way as well. Do we have a ton of liquidity sitting here? Yeah, probably. So there's a chance that we might come and take all of this out too. Like, let's not be naive about it. Our 4-hour order flow again has shifted bullish, so maybe we look for longs, right? Again, ideally, okay, there you go. We're starting to take that high out. And let's just play through. We'll do a couple more positions here. I think we're doing pretty good overall. But essentially, if we go 18, so this low to this high at the low, that would be our Asia range. This is a very volatile Asia. Interesting. And then we will pull this into London session. Maybe we just continue to look for longs, honestly. We got this here, this zone, which I would say flipped off of something here. Again, I won't bother marking it up. You can see that it reacted to it if I put my cursor over it. Now, who's to say that price won't come and sweep that though, right? Now, we don't really have any zones sitting below that, but let's see. Okay, now we've broken up. This zone looks actually pretty good to me. So look, we took this out. So what I'm gonna do is throw another order on here, and let's just ride the trend. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, honestly. So I'll set a limit on this one. We'll just do straight limit, cover it. We'll give it 14 pips. Okay, we'll do 1% again, and I'm just gonna move this up. And we're up pretty well. We'll look at the stats after too. That's the really interesting part that I like about FXREPLay. Of course, Software FX does it too, but it's kind of limited. You know what I mean? I like the metrics and stuff that. Okay, so we're in. Looks like we're sweeping this. This is probably gonna take us out, to be honest. Oh, we're reacting. There we go. We got taken out. So that's okay. Maybe we're gonna react off of this. I don't know. Oh, swept that too. Okay, so now we've got taken out of this position. Sometimes what I'll do, and again, I'll do this in the live market, is if I take a loss like this, and maybe I was wrong about market direction, we can see prices maybe rounding off here. We can actually look to take the opposite side, right? You can see here that sellers, took control here. We kind of have some respect of supply up here. We're violating demand like crazy, so maybe it's worth looking at taking, some sort of shorts here. So let's do that next. Okay, taking some highs out here. And again, this is in or around New York session. This doesn't look bad to me. If anything, it reacted to this range here. We swept, so maybe we look for some sort of shorts from in and around this level. What we can also do is wait for it to shift on the 5-minute. So let's maybe do that. But I'm liking this zone up here. Let's see what happens. I like that it's building liquidity here too. Let's move this over so it's a little cleaner. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to set an order here. This looks decent to me. So this is around 11. So here's the thing. We're probably not going to see a lot of volatility, but I'm going to leave an order on here anyways because, again, the price action just looks really nice to me. I think it's worth the risk. We'll leave that on. Okay, around 145. Just move that out of the way. Okay, not a lot of volatility, but we are building a ton of liquidity here, so that's good for my position, right? And we have liquidity target down here. Whoa. Okay, we're in and out. Looks like price gapped. Again, around spread hours. So probably wouldn't have taken that had I known it was spread hours, but that's okay. We take the L on it. Not a big deal. Again, there's losses like this that are easily avoidable if you stick to, certain time-based rules. Like obviously not trading during spread hours. You're gonna end up paying a premium on the spread when spreads widen anyways. So it's not a good time to be entering, right? Either way, I will take that loss to the chin. Not a big deal. Small misstep on my part, but I'm pretty happy with this loss that we took too, because price could have just as easily continued pushing up, right? And maybe it will now that it's consolidated. Like who knows, right? So let's play through. Let's see if we can get maybe one more position, and then we'll wrap this up. Again, I want to show you guys the stats, which I think are really cool, or the dashboard. So we'll play through a little bit more. It looks like we are ranging through Asia session here. Whoa. Okay. Frankfurt just kind of took off. So I'll just mark out the rough Asia session here because you can see that we ended up pushing up higher anyways. And let's just see. Oh, okay. Just going to continue to push up. So let's just quickly see if we're tapping into anything in the 4 hour here. Okay, of course we are. We have a supply level to the left here. So again, not trying to call reversals or anything, but if we do shift order flow, that'd be nice. We swept this high. Let's see, we are 12 days into September and we're up about 46 grand. So that's pretty good. Go back to the 15-minute here and let's just keep on playing through it. So as you can see overall, I mean, FXREPLAY is a pretty good tool. I really love the charting tools. I mean, that's the huge selling point to me. It's TradingView's charting tools without, you know, with what I would consider pretty realistic, you know, trade management and entry and all of that. The fact that you have all this stuff is really nice, right? It's not like, you know, TradingView where you can just throw an order on and then say, oh, okay, I took it or I didn't take it, and then you can, you know, again, there's a lot of things that TradingView lacks in the backtesting department that FXREPLAY really is improved upon, right? So let's see, getting into New York session now. It's around 9. Here is New York open. So what I'm thinking is we're tapping into this 4 hour zone. We're starting to break demand levels. Again, we have not shifted order flow. We're still bullish order flow, but look, we got a ton of liquidity to target. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to try to enter this. Again, this is a little bit riskier of a way to approach the market, but look, we've swept liquidity here and we have a pretty decent zone. Of course, could price come and tap into the extreme? Yeah, potentially. But if that happens, you know, we can approach it as such. But we'll wait maybe for a 5-minute order flow shift. But I like this zone, so what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to leave an order on like this. We're going to go short. I'll just do 50%, and then I'm going to cover the high, right? Because I don't know if it's going to sweep the high or not. Just give it some room, right? So I'm going to place my order, do 1%, and at minimum, I'm going to be targeting these lows, which ends up being around 6R. So let's see. Building liquidity, we have some here that's kind of built up too. And let's see if we get tapped into this position. Okay, what time is this? 1 p.m. Okay, so again, we're probably going to see a slowdown in our volatility here, but let's see if we get tapped in or not in this one. Okay, looks like we're not getting tapped in. Here's spread hour, so I'm going to close this. That's fine. We didn't get tapped into it. Looks like price didn't really move that much anyways. And then now we're into Asia session. So that's a no trade day for me. And again, does that happen a lot? Absolutely, it does. There are periods of up to 2 weeks where I don't take a trade. Like, it really depends on whether or not there is, or if there are any good opportunities on the instruments that I trade or not, right? So let's mark out Asia session again. I'll mark out our liquidity. I will even mark out the liquidity that's kind of built here in Asia session. We'll see if we sweep something, and maybe we'll get an opportunity to trade this. So we have Asia session there. Looks like we swept that liquidity that I marked out in Asia. So that's pretty nice. Let's see what Frankfurt does. Okay, Frankfurt is starting to sweep, and it looks like it's potentially going to tap into this remaining part here. Again, do we still have bullish order flow? Yes, but look, we have a lot of liquidity to target. So what I'm going to do here is we're just now getting into London session. Again, I'm gonna hedge this. And let's see. I'm gonna put my order back on here. We'll give it 17.2 pips. Let's start with a short, and then maybe we'll take a long as well, because this level looks pretty decent. We're kind of chaining here, and that way, if you know our short doesn't work out, then we end up catching this demand chain, and you know maybe we'll take something off of it. Of course, hedging is nice because it does take risk away in a sense, but at the same time there is a chance that price whipsaws and you take 2 losses, so you have to accept that risk as well. So I'm going to place my order here 1%. There you go. And again, I'm just going to move this out of the way. We'll manage it as price plays through. And what I'm going to do here as well is I'm just going to place an order here because I like that it's swept liquidity here. Maybe we'll get tagged into it. Of course, could price sweep this low and tap into something below? Absolutely it can. So what I'm going to do again is look to, maybe we'll just do something like this, and we're going to give it some room. I'm going to give this actually a lot of room. Maybe it'll sweep this low, right? So I want to be careful. I'll give it 13.2 pips. Let's do that. I'll just move it over here and drag my target to above this high. Again, we're still pretty bullish here, right? Maybe this is just a pullback and maybe we're going to continue up higher, right? So I'm just trying to take high probability positions. Again, I don't care how much R I'm going to make on it. I mean, I do care in the sense that, ideally, we make at minimum 3R. Ideally 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe even 10 if it's a super volatile day. But there we go. We're tagged into our short position here. If that works out and we can break these lows, I'll go break even on it. Okay. Well, there you go. Look, we're sweeping this high, right? That's kind of working out how I expected. We're pushing lower. Oh, might take us out. Okay, and we're out. It's okay. And it looks like we didn't get tagged into our long. But price got very close to it. That's too bad. I'll just close that out. Whoa, okay. Looks like there was news anyways, so wow, yeah, that's pretty crazy. 8:30 on September 13th. So you know what? It's a good thing we stayed out of that. Let's maybe try to trade post news now. So 2 ways we can approach this. Either we look for some sort of long. This will be my last position, by the way. But either we look for some type of long here. I'm glad we didn't get slipped out on that. Or we can look for continuation shorts and we just, ride this huge volatility that happened. I'm going to guess that this is some sort of like CPI or something, because that is a huge move. So we'll just play through a little bit. Let's see. I'm going to mark out this rough area here. Let's just see what we're even reacting to here, because we obviously have some wicks. When news hits, like usually you're going to have a lot of volatility and it's not going to form the cleanest zones. They're going to usually be relatively large zones as volatility expands. Well, let's see. I'm thinking we might, okay, we're starting to build a little bit of liquidity. We might tap into this, but let's see. Okay, continuing to push lower here. Price comes into this, I might be interested in shorting it. But of course, we can also look for longs if order flow shifts to the upside. So that's something we may or may not want to look for. Okay, looks like we're just continuing to push lower. Again, I don't really want to chase this now because now we're getting late into the day. So we'll kind of just play through it. And again, I don't really see anything for longs either. Okay, now we're getting into spread hours in Asia session. So we'll let that play out a little bit more. I think we're running up on an hour here. So I didn't intend for this video to be that long, but let's maybe take one more position. I'm sure you guys will appreciate a long video anyways. We're doing some back testing. Looks like we've taken quite a few positions. So we didn't get tagged into all of these, mind you. And I mean, even that long, it would have been nice to be in that long. And here's the thing, I would have taken that long and probably, well, I would have 100% TP'd it before news hit, right? And maybe we would have made some like 4 or 5R on that. It's not a bad position, right? We're still doing pretty well, I would say. But let's see. So here is, Asia session that I've marked out. Let me just mark it out with this tool. And let's see, are we tapping into a zone here? Yeah, looks like we are. This is probably a 4-hour zone because we have a 15-minute range, I would expect. So let's see what happens next. Okay. We're sweeping something here. This is not the cleanest price action, but potentially because we've seen such a huge push down in price action, we may actually see price retrace this move now. Not the entire thing, or maybe the entire thing. I mean, I really don't know, but let's see what happens. So sometimes you can, even go as far as actually playing this, or we can wait for it to sweep this low. So let's maybe wait a little bit, see if it does that. Okay. Okay, looks like we're respecting it. That's pretty good. Slowly starting to break up above here. Let me just check this on the 5-minute for a second. So that reacted to that. You can use that as, I'm expecting that this is probably going to sweep this. So what I'm going to do is let's go back on the 15-minute. Let's look at this zone for a second, or even this zone down here. I'm thinking you can probably take something here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cover this low here, give it some room, and we'll do 15 pips. I'm expecting this low is going to get swept, so we can maybe even give it some room if we really want. And then let's see if price comes and taps into that. So we'll do something like this, and then let's place our order. There's 1%. Okay, we're starting to retrace back. Again, of course, we can hedge this if we get tapped in. Looks like we're not getting tapped in. That's fine. Yeah, looks like we didn't get tapped in. That would have been nice, but price had other plans, so I'm not gonna complain over it. Let's see here. We could continue to take longs though. That's the thing. So we're at 7 a.m. I mean, even this looks pretty good to me. I'm not gonna lie. Again, I want to assess here if we're getting some sort of reaction to the left. Let's check the 5-minute. Yeah, I mean, you kind of are. It's not the best zone, but let's see if price comes back into this, and then maybe you can look to take some sort of long off of it, something like that. Okay, so I'm gonna again enter this. I'm still gonna cover this low here. We'll give it some room. We'll just enter market on that. There we go. Okay, we're in. Let's see what happens next. Oh, see there. I actually swept that low. I kind of predicted that. Again, all this comes with experience. I'm not saying necessarily that this position is going to work out, but you tend to see patterns like this as you trade more and more. It's taken me years to get to this point where I'll see stuff like this and just, I'm going to cover the low, right? Because I've been swept out enough times. There you go. Look, it's swept even lower. Happens to. I take my L. Not a big deal. I'll play it through a little bit more, and let's see what happens next. Maybe let's do one more day. I want to try and catch one more position for you guys, just because this is kind of fun. Having fun with this. Okay, here's Asia session. Let it play through. Mark it out. Right, 18 to midnight my time. There we go. There's Asia session. Okay, so this ended up failing anyways. Not the best position. Again, were we trading against all of this? Yeah, we were, right? But I don't think it was the worst position either. It's too bad. We could have got maybe break even if it had broken up, but it didn't do that, right? So we don't, I'm not going to complain about that either. Okay, so I'm just going to drag this over. We're kind of respecting this low still. Probably going to sweep it. Nope, didn't sweep it. We're respecting it. That's pretty crazy. So there's London open. We swept this low. Now we're respecting this supply chain. Again, if we look at the 4-hour, that's this 4-hour wick low here. And let's say that we're kind of, we've shifted. Looks like we've shifted order flow to the downside on the 4-hour. So if we're going to take longs here, really just, we're going to be looking to play counter trend, which again, there's a lot of risk associated with that. We can target, potentially we'll get swept out as these lows get targeted, but I'm still expecting maybe we'll get a deeper pullback here because there's a lot of imbalance to fill above that. So from that news move. Okay, so let's go back on the 15-minute and let's see what happens here. Okay, we're sweeping these highs. It's cool. Kind of like that. Okay, price is kind of reacting to this supply level. Yeah, I'm expecting some sort of deeper pullback. Again, do we have liquidity that's kind of stacked up here? Yeah, we do, right? So we can, again, look to maybe target that. Sweeping this. Sweeping some sort of rough, like this is very messy, these reactions, but there's liquidity definitely sitting there. Okay, we're getting a reaction. So what I'm going to do here is, again, we didn't really shift order flow, but I'm going to look to try to take a long here and just try to call, you know, price potentially pushing up. I like that it took that low out. So what I'm going to do is just place an order in and around this level. Again, this is a more aggressive entry. Not necessarily saying that you should take this trade. It really depends on you and whether or not, you know, you can look to, you know, take profit, or rather, if this fits your trade plan, right? So, and your risk appetite. So, let's see. I'm gonna place an order on this. Okay, I'm gonna do something like this. We'll cover the low, right? Maybe it'll come deep into it enough, and then my break-even point would obviously be this high. So let's place our order. We'll go 1%, and again, I'm gonna drag that out in anticipation that we're gonna pull back deeper. Now the thing is, we are counter trend, so potentially, you know, we may want to look to take profits early, especially, you know, depending on the time. Okay, wow, didn't tap us in again. That's okay. We were really close there. Maybe I'll actually leave that on because we could end up sweeping this. Let's see. Yeah, and now we're going to slow down because now we're a little bit less volatile in price action. And there you go. You know, this is, I would say this is a pretty realistic representation of what happens in the live market. I miss a lot of trades. Sometimes I'll call the market direction. I mean, sometimes I get absolutely obliterated. But in the end, look, we took a ton of trades here. Some of them profited pretty well. We did pretty well early on. Look, we're halfway through the month. Let's go look at our dashboard here and actually analyze our performance. And again, this is the other thing that I really like about this tool. So there we go. We've made 13%. I would say that's, you know, pretty good. That's in line with, you know, some of my 15-minute performance, or trading with the 15-minute in the live market. You know, even if you make, you know, some 10, even 5%, right? Like at the end of the day, right? You have 300K in funding, or even 100K in funding. 5% risking 1% per trade is pretty damn good, right? And look, we even had a pretty poor win rate. Of course, this is counting break-evens as well. So, and I know we made a couple of errors there. So I think more realistically, this would probably be in the 30 to 35% range. In the live market, I think in the last 30 days, I've probably done something like 45% win rate. But anyways, point is, you know, there's a lot of cool things that you can look at here. It shows you your max ideal RR, or your, you know, risk to reward ratio. Our average R was actually pretty good at 4.61. It was under 5, but it looks like we could have held some of our trades for longer. Again, you can hover over any one of these little information boxes and it explains, you know, what you could have done, right? Or it explains essentially what the metric is telling you. So we went through 14 days of price action. Our average trade duration was about 2 hours and 30 minutes, which makes sense. Our average R is pretty good. And look, we're winning a lot more than we're losing on these trades as well, right? And you know, at the end of the day, I mean, look, you make 10% on a 300K in funding. I mean, you're taking home, you know, a pretty good amount. Probably be around 30K Canadian if you convert it after profit split, right? 80%. I mean, you can even calculate this. I'll quickly calculate it. Essentially, we have here our calculator. So let's see, we did 13%, right? I mean, it already calculated our P&L. So say we made a gross amount of $4,515.94. And of course, we are going to take home 0.8 of that, right? Give 20% to the prop firm, which means we take home 33,000 US dollars, right? Of course, we got to pay tax on that. But that being said, you know, I convert that into my currency, which would be roughly, I don't know what the dollar is to the CAD. I know the CAD's really weak, but if we do 1.36, something like that. There you go. I'm taking home 45,000 Canadian dollars. Again, of course, I have to pay tax on that, but that's still a pretty good month. I mean, I'd probably stop trading for the month. Or you can risk your profits and try to earn more. There's nothing wrong with that if you feel confident in it. Anyways, that is our review on FXREPLAY. I mean, I didn't go over a ton of stuff. It's pretty interesting here. I know we did a lot of London here. Again, I don't trade London, so it was pretty a little foreign to me, that price action on EU, which is good, for this backtesting session anyways. But yeah, overall, I like FXREPLAY. I think it's great. It's a great tool. There are, of course, a few things that are missing that I'm really excited for, that the guys are working on. So once those things kind of play out and they add them in, news, sessions, a session indicator, and even a way to look at like the day of the week. I know there's like a day of the week, I think it's called FXN week or day separator that I use in TradingView that I really like to tell me the day of the week. I mean, that'd be ideal too, because I don't really like holding positions over the weekend. You can't do it on prop firm accounts anyways, most of them, right? Of course, that's going to vary depending on the prop firm you have or the prop firm that you're with. But anyways, let's close up this video. We're running on like an hour and 25 minutes or so. I hope you guys enjoyed this session, and I hope I showcased, the power of this tool and why it's pretty game changing, honestly. Anyways, I will catch you guys on the next video. Take it easy. Bye.